The El Conservador Radio Show is sponsored by the Federation for American Immigration Reform and George Rodriguez on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Time for the El Conservador Radio Show with George Rodriguez. George is a constitutional conservative who loves to expose fake news and liberals. And now, El Conservador, George Rodriguez.
Howdy, 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 howdy. Once again, my friends, George Rodriguez, El Conservador, talking to you from San Antonio, deep in the heart of Texas on this November the 3rd, Saturday. We've got we've got 3 days till election time, my friends. And this is going to be a critical election. I mean, they are always have said that this is a critical election. Well, this time, my friends, it truly is. It is a battle between pro-America and anti-America. That's the only way that I can describe it. A lot of people take issue with that, but that's exactly how I see it. So anyway, welcome to our show, my friends. Brought to you courtesy of FAIR, the Federation for American Immigration Reform, the foremost leaders and knowledgeable people on policies and politics in Washington, D.C., and across the country regarding the issue of immigration and the border crisis. If you want to know anything about what's going on regarding the immigration politics in Washington, D.C., go to FAIR, fairus.org. That's where you can find them, fairus.org. And of course, press the donate button, because a donation to FAIR, of course, is a donation to El Conservador, because they are our sponsor. So anyway, let me tell you real quick who our guests are. And I am going to take the liberty, since it is a few days before the election, I'm going to take the liberty to talk to you about two very, very critical issues. The deportation and removal of illegal aliens. That's become a very, very hot topic, because if Trump wins, he has promised to do what he calls a mass deportation. I'm going to explain to you what a mass deportation is, and talk to you a little bit about why it's being called that. Then we're going to also talk about a very critical, my friends, at the end of our show, a very critical situation, a dangerous situation that we're looking at in the southern border. Over the past few months, since last December, the Biden administration made a deal with Mexico to hold back, to stop migrants from coming across the border. And what it has done, they have set up a dam, so to speak, that has a huge tsunami of migrants, of illegal aliens. They're sitting there in the southern part of Mexico, ready to come across. Mexico, my friends, has a new president who is a socialist, who is a friend of of the Castros. She is an absolute dictator, a commie socialist, and she is very much in line with Fidel and Raúl Castro. She is very much in line with Hugo Chavez. She is very, very much in line with Putin and others. And she is not the friend of America. Consequently, my friends, as soon as the election happens, I believe in my heart that we're going to see a release by Mexico of all of these illegal aliens that they've been holding back. And there is going to be a tsunami like you haven't seen of illegal aliens coming across the border. They will come across the border regardless of whether Trump wins or not. They are going to come across the border while they have a chance. While the Biden administration is still there, I guarantee the Biden administration is going to open the gates. I guarantee. Even if they win, they're going to open up the gates. And you are going to see a tsunami of illegal aliens like we haven't seen. So we'll talk about that at the end of the show. Let me tell you who our guests are, and then we'll get to them real quick. We have two guests today. First of all, we've got Mr. Hugo Chavez, who is a blogger, a YouTube host on from Denver, Colorado. He's been on our show before. Hugo is going to be talking to us, giving us an update of what is going on with the Tren de Aragua Venezuelan gangs in Denver. His situation in Colorado is very different from the situation that we have here in Texas, because they have a governor that's a Democrat that doesn't seem to think that there is a problem. They also have he also has a mayor in Denver, as well as various local officials that are very liberal in the state of Colorado, and they, my friends, are turning a blind eye to what is going on. Our second guest is another blogger, another fellow citizen reporter, Hernando Arce. Hernando is he lives here in San Antonio and does a great deal of reporting of what is going on here in San Antonio with the illegal aliens and over at the migrant center. But he recently went home to his hometown of New York City, and he's going to tell you what he saw in New York City. He's going to give you a first-hand report of what is happening in New York City, my friends. It is incredible. It is just absolutely, it's going to raise your head. Because, my friends, New York City has become an epicenter for illegal immigration. New York has always been a center for the first landing of immigrants. But now, my friends, these immigrants are radically different than anything that we saw in the past. These immigrants are third world people who have little in common with our culture. And you're going to want to hear what he's got to say, how he describes what is going on. And so, my friends, it is election time. It is time for us to buckle up, get to the polls. Early voting is showing a tremendous number of people showing up. A tremendous number of people showing up, and we have to like the Trump campaign has been saying, people have to show up in greater numbers so that there is no question as to whether or not he won. Because I guarantee, my friends, and it's already happening. We saw in Portland, Oregon, where a drop-off, a mail-in vote drop-off was burned. So all of those votes that were dropped off in that in that box have gone up in smoke, and heaven only knows how you can, who's going to say, well, I voted and therefore I've got to vote again. Who's going to know how, who really voted and who really didn't. I really do believe we're going to see a lot of those problems. So anyway, let's go to our first guest, Hugo Chavez Rey from Denver. Howdy, howdy, howdy once again, my friends. George Rodriguez, El Conservador, talking to you from San Antonio. And we've got our good friend, Mr. Hugo Chavez Rey from Colorado, from the Denver area. And I wanted to get him on because we've been chatting about the Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua, what they're up to in Colorado, and what they're up to here in Texas. But I wanted to get an update from him about what's going on in Colorado. Hugo, thank you very, very much for taking time to be with us, my friend.
Sure, absolutely. Always glad to help.
Tell us what is going on. Give us an update about what's going on in Colorado with this Venezuelan gang.
Well, as the saying goes, the plot thickens. The Aurora officials here, it turns out that they either knew or strongly suspected for a much longer than previously disclosed that this Venezuelan gang has been operating in the city, and that it's much larger than a handful of members at a single apartment complex, like they had been reporting. So the city officials here, they've had this little group that they put together, about 24 internal police department emails dating back to September 11th of 23. so over a year, and it actually, even from what I'm understanding, goes back a little further than that. But needless to say, if something is publicly known, I'm saying the actual information that's come out was basically nearly a year before it was publicly known that the Venezuelan prison gang known as Tren de Aragua was operating in the Denver metro area, and before city officials actually shuttered an apartment complex that they had taken over. So intelligence reports had indicated that there were more than 100 of these TDA members operating in the Denver area. And very crucial to all this, the gang has basically been revealed that the gang intends to make Denver their headquarters in the U.S. So, lucky us. We get chosen to be the headquarters.
Well, you're mentioning something that's very, very interesting, and I'm going to have to go back and do some research. But I remember there were several individuals that we interviewed here at the Migrant Center in San Antonio that indicated they were going to Denver specifically for resettlement. And we found it very, very curious because majority of people were either going to Florida or New York, where they had family. But to go to Denver, I mean, I found that to be, why would Venezuelans want to go to Denver? The mountain climate, I mean,
The short answer to that is that the sanctuary city policies of Denver are a huge magnet for illegals. This is one of the top cities for benefits and being coddled and protected with their sanctuary policies. But so that's the short answer to that. Now, these people that you talk about, were they did they look like gang members? Or
we noticed, that they were young men. They were all young men that I can remember, but I don't recall seeing tattoos or anything unusual about them. At least I'm going to have to go back and look at those old videos that we did, and maybe share them with you so you can look at the people. But it was very, very strange. I mean, to me, it was very strange.
The more we learn, the more we're learning about how to identify them, because that was one of the statements by some of the police officials here. This City of Aurora spokesperson confirmed these emails that had been circulating for quite some time, showing that the internal conflicts and worries about the political fallout, and a police force fearful of venturing into these areas without solid backup. So they were taking a hands-off approach. Now, this apartment complex that they basically co-opted, took over, is a 99-unit apartment complex, and near one of the largest medical centers here in the city. So they were citing a long-standing litany of health and safety violations, and as previously reported by the Denver Gazette here, emails from the attorney representing it's called the CBZ Management Company, which is, from what I understand, out of Florida. They're the owners of that unit. So the closure was meant to actually thwart the Venezuelan gang, which had taken over the complex through threats and intimidation. But, of course, the politicos thought that the optics were not good about that.
Yeah. You can't have police officers arresting people, for crying out loud. That looks bad.
Yeah. So they've been in close communication with this property management. And so this operation that they did of shuttering this particular apartment complex basically ended up with about 300 people becoming homeless, so to speak, in August. And unfortunately, a lot of the people are, they are illegal immigrants, but they weren't gang members. They were just regular folks trying to make a living, make a way here in the States. But that's what happened with that particular compass. Now, the company, so it says, I'm sorry, I said Florida, I meant Brooklyn-based company, which owns the complex. They're saying that they're going to step back for a while and wait until the dust settles, so to speak, because they're saying that they want to resume normal operations, but they can't do so under the threat of present and immediate danger against their residents, their staff, and their management. So, in fact, the police were so attuned to this, they were aware that last fall, there's a property manager that was on there last November, not this November, but he was beaten by several people in the complex that were drinking and listening to loud music. So they had, he had gone to investigate the complaint and got beat to within an inch of his life for his efforts. So the police denied that, or the city officials rather, denied that the Venezuelan gang had anything to do with the closure of the apartment complex, and were trying to blame the absent landlords for deteriorating conditions at the complex. So instead of expending the resources to address the documented issues, CBC and its stakeholders have hired a team of attorneys and basically said, we have to fight the city and its charter mandated duties to enforce city code and alternative narratives, which, a lot of people are aware of. And then there's an independent report that came out by an international law firm hired by the lender that found that the gang had entrenched itself at the complex using units for illegal activities that included the prostitution of minors, drugs, and other illegal activities. But the interim police chief and the mayor and the city manager were saying that they were demanding half of the rent, which was drying up the collections for the landlords. So extortion at its finest. And so, these gang members are engaging in, in pretty flagrant trespass violations, assault and battery, human trafficking, sexual abuse of minors, unlawful firearm possession, extortion, and all these other.
My gosh.
This is a full-blown attack. And so when President Trump was here a week and a half ago, he basically said when he's elected, this is going to end because, number one, he's going to move to end all sanctuary cities in the U.S., and he's not going to be shy about sending in federal authorities to every one of these areas. And Operation Aurora, which is what your police chief down there had called the raid that they did down there in San Antonio, is basically named after our city here in Aurora.
Wow. Yeah.
So and from what I understand, you can tell me a little bit more about it, but in San Antonio, that was a multi-agency task force that was put together that included local, state, and federal including National Guard, that was involved in that roundup that took place down there. Is that what you know?
Yeah, well, everything except National Guard. Yes, there were some DEA folks that were present. There were state troopers that were present, and but the operation was taken over done mostly by the local police department. But let me. We need to conclude here. But let me make an observation here real quick, and that is that there seems to be a commonality in all of these in these incidents, in these gang-related situations.
Exactly. That's what they're saying here in this article that I had come across, and they said that. Denver, San Antonio, New York, and even Chicago, they all had similar activities.
Yeah,
so
the commonalities seem to be, first of all, that they're sanctuary cities. Secondly, that they gravitate to mismanaged properties, and where properties where there are a lot of illegal aliens already residing. And then third, that there's no code enforcement or of violations of the property. So all of those things seem to be in place to allow these gangs to come in.
Yeah, and also the fact that these illegal immigrants are afraid to report anything because they're afraid they're going to get deported. Mm-hmm. So that adds to that, and these gang members know that. So the people they're intimidating are not Americans; they're their own immigrant cohorts, and unfortunately, a lot of them are just innocent bystanders with families and young kids, and they're afraid. They're not gonna stick their neck out and get attacked by these people. These are animals. These are not people anymore. They're just, these people have engaged in literally everything that's heinous to anybody with any kind of a decency. And of course, our illustrious governor here, unlike your governor down there, said that he's committed to supporting local law enforcement and their work to keep our community safe. all while saying nothing to see here. It's all exaggerated by social media, the local media, the news channels, and anybody else that's
the hypocrisy is incredible, isn't it? I mean, just the hypocrisy is incredible.
Oh. Well, we got a clown for a governor. I'm sorry, but that's and this guy thinks he's got a shot to be president someday.
He's got some good stuff to build on, huh?
Yep. So it's gonna be interesting because as soon as we elect Trump, all of this is going to come to a head.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Yes, it is.
And I believe President Trump when he said this is going to end. Yep. And it's going to end quick. He will have the authority to send federal units everywhere, and if they're short on staff, they will hire more. But these gang members are on notice, and I think they know it. How it's going to, come to a head, I don't know. But from what I'm understanding, the president wants Congress to pass a law outlawing all sanctuary cities in the country. Yeah. So to make it illegal, and they have the purse strings to do it, because all they got to do is just pull all the federal funds from every city that's designated a sanctuary city or a state, and they'll be quick to respond to that because they like the money.
Yep.
But it's going to be. I'm looking forward to that because I think it's going to. Well, Denver's one of the two places that he mentioned that were going to be top priorities. So we're going to have an armada coming in here and cleaning house and rounding them up, and there isn't going to be any so-called due process. These people are animals. They're illegal. They're going to be rounded up. Those that have committed crimes are going to be prosecuted. The rest of them are going to be shipped out real fast.
Yep. Hugo, I got to thank you for being with us again and giving us so much great information. Tell the folks where they can follow you on your podcast.
Yes, our podcast is on YouTube, X, Rumble, and our website is www.hispanicpatriot.com, and we're on every Wednesday from 6 to 7 p.m. Mountain Time. So, but all the episodes are uploaded to all the platforms so people can tune in and look at past episodes and keep up with us on Facebook as well.
You got it, bro.
So, yep, we're growing, and we're looking forward to some good times here in 8 days away from what President Trump called the liberation of America.
Yep. Well, we are broadcasting with this. This interview is actually taking place on Monday, October the 28th. So that's why we're looking at 9 days later. Hugo, thank you very much for being with us, and we will chat with you again soon. Take care and be safe.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Once again, George Rodriguez, El Conservador, talking to you.
The Federation for American Immigration Reform, known as FAIR, fights to restore common-sense border controls and immigration policies that work for America and its future. America's immigration system and border controls have been decimated by Washington politicians and special interests, undermining the interests and security of the American people. FAIR mobilizes grassroots activists to make sure the voices of the American people are heard in Washington. Find out more about FAIR and what we do by going to fairus.org.
Howdy. Once again, my friends, George Rodriguez, El Conservador, talking to you from San Antonio. And we've got our good friend, Mr. Hernando Arce, Hernando Arce, who is a fellow blogger. He is on social media, a very, very well-known person on social media, following the issues of illegal immigration and a few other things. And the reason I wanted to get him on is because he has been up to his hometown in New York City. And I wanted to get him to tell us what is going on up there, because we read some things, but he can give us a first-hand account. Hernando, thank you very, very much for taking time to be with us. Welcome to the show, my friends.
Hello, George, and thank you for having me back on your show, El Conservador.
Tell us, buddy, what is going on? Your visit recently up to New York City. What is going on in your hometown, buddy?
Well, yes, George, I went up there just to get a temperature of where we were with these illegal aliens and this massive invasion we've had over the last 4 years. And like you said, I was born and raised in New York City my whole life. I actually left the city, New York, 10 years ago when the mayor de Blasio was elected, because I saw the writing on the wall on what was going to happen to the city. And unfortunately, I was correct. Now, the reason I left the city 10 years ago and moved to San Antonio, Texas, was because my neighborhood of Jackson Heights, Corona, Queens, New York City, which is in the outskirts, is one of the boroughs, right? I didn't recognize it anymore. I felt like a foreigner living in a foreign country because of the amount of foreigners that moved in. And a lot of them were illegal aliens. And this was 10 years ago during the Obama administration, because Obama, people forget, he's the one that started these caravans of illegals moving into the country. And so I went there not knowing what to expect, understanding that the city has spent over $10 billion in aiding and abetting illegal aliens with their services. There are over 200 locations of hotels, and these are boutique hotels, by the way, George. These are not super six motels. There were 200 locations and encampments. I call them encampments because they were like the FEMA type of white tents that were all of that was leased out. Every equipment there is leased out. infrastructure-wise, costing millions of dollars per month. And so I went there and I started recording, and what I found out that it's a very dangerous place to be around those centers. And mind you, there are 200 of them all across the city of New York, in neighborhoods where, women and children played, and it was just disgusting. I really felt like I needed to take a shower after every day of recording, because these aliens were hanging out around the perimeter of these encampments, smoking marijuana, George. They were rolling up marijuana, heavy smell of skunk, and I approached the police officer, because there's police officers patrols there every day, 24 hours, and I said, officer, there's an illegal alien smoking an illegal drug in the sidewalk. And I was surprised to find out, George, that it's perfectly legal to smoke marijuana in New York City. They passed a law 3 years ago to make that legal, George.
Wow. I mean, really. Incredible. We've got illegal aliens doing illegal stuff.
Yeah.
Now, compare that to what you've seen here in our city, because you have covered a lot of what is going on over at the Migrant Center. How do you compare the two?
Oh, yes. I mean, San Antonio, for those who don't understand, is 2.5 hours from the border of Texas, right? But we are one of the largest cities coming into the interior, so it's a stopover. It's a transient stopover for all these illegals. And the city has documented that they've received over 1 million illegals coming through the city in the last two years, because they documented on their website. And so the difference here in San Antonio, as I've been recording at the American Replacement Center on San Pedro Avenue since the day they opened up, July of 2022. And the difference is that mostly the illegals we get here are from South America and Central America. Majority of them are from Venezuela. And so what I experienced in New York was like a melting pot of illegals. They were coming from Europe, Asia, Africa, the Caribbean, and of course, Central and South American countries. So it was 180 different countries that I saw in New York City. And they're much more in your face, much more violent. They threatened to hurt me for recording in public. Tren de Aragua from Venezuela, who, by the way, is sponsored by the government of Venezuela. They are the strong arm for Maduro's administration. Maduro gave Tren de Aragua their power. A lot of people don't know that. And so, yeah, it's a lot different. In New York, is much more in your face, and it's very dangerous to be around there recording, George.
Now, how are the people in New York City? How are the folks in the boroughs where all of these folks, all of these illegals are congregating? How are they reacting to all of this?
Well, New York City, which might be turning, this election in like New Jersey and New Hampshire, the words is that, Donald Trump was campaigning there at the Madison Square Garden last week because they feel that they could turn the state red, which would be a miracle. But the residents that I've interviewed that live there, they have become numb to this here invasion, just like during COVID with the mask and the lockdowns and taking the vaccine for exchange of a hamburger coupon at McDonald's. They become numb that like they don't have any power. They seem defeated, and so I was surprised that in New York, the government has really squashed the residents there, and the illegals have more rights than these residents. I spoke to one resident. He said, "Please don't get in their faces because they will arrest you. These illegals have more protection than I do," and so they seem defeated. George, to answer your question.
Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible. So, if you were to sit down with the current mayor of New York City, as well as with any other politician, the governor, I guess, what would you tell him?
Well, that's a great question because the mayor did come out last year and said that this was unsustainable. Remember that famous press conference?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
And guess what happened after that? The Democratic machine, the monster, turned against him and indicted him. This was not done by just coincidental that the federal government came down on Mayor Adams. If you don't play the rules, go by the rules of the Marxist agenda of open borders, you will be destroyed. And so the mayor may not be getting reelected next year, which is this next term, because he went against the Marxist open border policy. what I would tell the governor and the mayor is, at this point, the damage is done, George. The damage is done. So
wow.
At this point, I would say that if Trump gets in the White House, hopefully, that they need to really work with him to make sanctuary cities illegal, or else you're not going to get any more federal funding. It's that simple. And start working on a mass deportation all across the country, George.
Wow. Hernando, thank you very much for taking time and enlightening us about what's going on. We got to get you on. Share with the people where how they can follow you, and any project that you're working on at this point.
Well, yeah, thank you for that opportunity. I am continuing to record and document the invasion at San Antonio. I approached a coach bus full of children, illegal alien children, that were going into the interior just last week, and here at the airport. And so I'm going to continue by exposing these NGOs and these organizations like MVM that are aiding and abetting this here illegal campaign. And you can catch me on X, Hernando RC, Rumble, Hernando RC, and you can give to my Give, Send, and Go account because I am suing the city of San Antonio for my unlawful arrest at the airport last November. Thank you, George, for the opportunity.
You got it, buddy. Once again, my friends, George Rodriguez, El Conservador, and we've been speaking with our good friend, Mr. Hernando Arce, fellow blogger and citizen reporter about what is going on with illegal immigration. Thank you very much, Hernando.
My honor.
All righty, folks. Thank you very much for joining us today. I want to share with you some thoughts on two very critical issues, two very important things that are, in my opinion, are going to happen when and if, or if and when, Trump goes to the White House. And these are very, very important happenings, my friends. First of all, it's the enforcement of immigration laws, specifically the removal and deportation of illegal aliens. I mean, there are 21 million illegal aliens here in our country, and we're going to have to do something about it. We're going to have to enforce the law that Biden and Harris have not been enforcing. So that's number one. Number two, my friends, is that the Biden-Harris administration has cut a deal with the Mexican government. And they are literally, the Mexican government, I believe that they got paid, heaven knows how much, but the Mexican government has been holding back a tsunami of illegal aliens in Mexico. They've been holding them back mostly in southern Mexico. Now we know that there are still a great number of illegal aliens getting into the United States even now. More are coming in through the northern border than they are through, not should I say more than the southern border, but they are coming in through the northern border as well as through the southern border. And by no means has the southern border been secured. However, Mexico is holding back a great number, thousands of illegal aliens, thousands of migrants in their homeland. And they are doing it courtesy of an agreement with the Biden administration, because the Biden administration wanted to avoid the optics, the appearance of illegal aliens crossing during the campaign. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what's going to happen there. But first of all, last Sunday, October the 27th, my very good friend Tom Homan, who is the former ICE director, the former director of Immigration Customs Enforcement in the Trump administration, he was on 60 Minutes. Tom has been picked pre-picked by Trump to be the new Homeland Security Secretary should he win. And there is a great deal of anxiety among the liberals, particularly the liberal media and the nonprofits that are helping the illegals come into our country, of Tom taking over, because Tom has said that he will enforce immigration laws and there will be deportations. Trump has said there's going to be mass deportations, and that's really triggered people. That has really triggered people. So let me explain to you my point of view, what I think they mean and how I think it's going to. And this is based on my conversations with Tom. And this is based on my conversations with other high-ranking folks within the Trump administration of what is going to happen. Let's, the liberals are expressing their concerns, particularly from a humanitarian point of view. However, we've got to understand, my friends, that illegal aliens have broken the law, and there must be consequences. Entering the United States without permission or proper documentation is a crime. And any citizen who enters the country and is in the United States without proper documentation and without permission is an illegal alien who's breaking the law. Now, that includes all of these people that have come in during the Biden-Harris administration under programs that were organized or that were put together without congressional consent, okay? To be sure, let's make sure that we understand, though, before we get into that there has always been an illegal immigration problem in America. But since the Biden administration took over, the Biden-Harris administration took over, it has been the worst border in the history of the United States. Millions in the past 3 years. Millions. As many as 21 million illegal aliens have crossed the border. Something's got to be done, first of all, to stop the illegal immigration and control the border. Because, my friends, if you excuse and you tolerate any illegal immigration with amnesty or whatever, you're going to get more and worse illegal immigration. So what is the proposal? What can be done? What should be done? Well, first of all, let's understand, my friends, that when the term mass deportation is used, that doesn't mean street sweeps or the arrest of people on the street, that police are going to stop you all of a sudden and ask you for your documentation. That is nothing more than a political scare tactic. When they talk about mass deportation, my friends, they use that term to describe the extensive work that's going to have to be done to remove so many illegal aliens. It's going to be a massive effort to remove 21 million illegal aliens. Thus, it's going to be a mass deportation. 21 million is not a small number. Now, concerning those deportations, the priority is going to be given to remove illegal alien criminals and terrorists. Everyone knows that there are criminal elements that have crossed the border, not to mention terrorists. Well, any illegal alien who's serving a jail term that has been convicted for a crime or has been arrested and is waiting to be thrown in jail or has been thrown in jail, anyone who's involved in a criminal organization, a gang or a cartel, those people are going to get removed immediately. Then, of course, there's anyone who is who is on the terrorist watch list and who has been detained, arrested, or is already in prison for some terrorist act. Those are going to get removed immediately. Now, the second part of this are all of those people who are working illegally in the United States. That's going to be the second priority, because employment, my friends, is the number one driving force for illegal immigration, and it's got to be stopped. Unauthorized workers must be arrested and deported. Okay? Unauthorized workers. So you've got the criminals, terrorists, and unauthorized workers. Those are the priorities. Now, there's also, my friends, going to be a real effort to encourage illegal aliens to leave the country voluntarily. Now, how do we do that? Well, first of all, we end sanctuary communities. They've got to be abolished. State and local governments have got to stop providing benefits, rights, and protections to illegal aliens. Illegal aliens will be encouraged to self-deport. It's happened before in American history, and it will happen again once the benefits and protections end. They leave. Okay? Now, what about those that refuse to leave? Those that refuse to go under any circumstances? Well, that means deportations are going to have to happen. That's simple. Any illegal alien that refuses to self-deport and does not exit voluntarily, well, that's going to happen. So then the question is raised by liberals, what about family separation? Well, let's understand this, my friends, regarding family separation. Let's understand this. Illegal alien families will be split just as citizens are separated when a family member goes to jail. Same thing. Furthermore, let's remember that these people created these circumstances. These illegal aliens created their circumstances when they crossed the border illegally. Now, all of a sudden, they're surprised they're going to get deported? Also, my friends, in an effort to be as humanitarian as possible and to help these families, the entire family can be deported together to avoid separation. Yes. So in conclusion, my friends, again, let me emphasize to you that there is really no mass deportation plan. However, immigration laws have got to be enforced. We must return to the enforcement of immigration laws just like it was done under Clinton and Obama, who now are shocked and act like, oh my gosh, they never did anything. Yes, they deported illegal aliens. I, as an American of Mexican descent, my friends, I oppose illegal immigration. I'm not afraid of the enforcement of immigration laws because I haven't broke any. I'm a citizen. I support the deportation and removal of all illegal aliens in a prioritized, controlled, humanitarian manner. We must understand, my friends, that persons who are in the United States without permission or documentation are illegal aliens and they must be deported and removed. Let's remember, if we excuse and tolerate any illegal immigration, we will get more and worse illegal immigration. So then ask yourself this: what is the point of being a legal citizen if an illegal alien has the same rights and benefits? So that's that point. Now, let me go on and talk about this situation in Mexico and what I see as a real, true danger that could happen as soon as the election polls close on Tuesday. Like I said, over the past few months, since December, Mexico has had an agreement with the United States to minimize illegal immigration across the border, to minimize the number of migrants crossing the border. Why? Because the Biden administration clearly wanted to avoid the optics, wanted to avoid the pictures of people crossing the border, millions of them crossing the border, like we've seen over the past few months while the Biden-Harris administration has been in power. It's been happening. We've seen it. And they wanted to avoid it. They wanted to claim that the border was under control with the help of the liberal media. The liberal media has been very good at saying, well, numbers are down, numbers are down, numbers are down. They're still the highest numbers that we've ever had. They're just lower than the ones that we had a few months ago. And that was the agreement with Mexico. Mexico has literally been deporting people, picking them up and herding them back to southern Mexico. There have been screams from United Nations workers and from nonprofits and Red Cross and everybody else in Mexico saying that Mexico is so inhumane to these migrants, holding them back, et cetera, et cetera. Well, my friends, that is going to end. I guarantee that is going to end on Tuesday evening. And we have to be careful. Why is it going to end? Because by then, Mexico, which is fed up with all of these illegal aliens, with these migrants, they are going to want to get rid of them. And what's the fastest way to get rid of them? Just dump them back. Just let them go across the border, across our border. And this is going to happen regardless if Trump wins or loses. If Trump wins, there's going to be a mass tsunami of people crossing, trying to hurry up and get into the United States before he takes office in January. Because once he takes office in January, he is going to be able to put the military at the border and stop people. Okay? So they are going to be anxious to hurry up and get across the border. There will be a tsunami of migrants crossing come Wednesday. We will see it. If Trump wins, they are going to want to get across, hurry up, before January. Now, if he loses, they are going to want to get across anyway, because that's their goal. And do you think the Harris administration is going to stop them? Of course not. Of course not. There was some idiot Democrat in Ohio that was caught on a mic on Tuesday saying that we should open the borders, we should let these people come across. That is their goal. Their goal is to turn America, the most radical goal that liberal leftists have for America, liberal leftist Democrats have for America, is to turn it into a third world country. Yes, because in their hearts they believe that that is the destiny of America. In their hearts they believe in the abolishment of whites, of Europeans. Yes, that is what they preach. And we've got, my friends, it's not an issue of race, it's an issue of culture. America is great because it is of its Western European Christian culture, in which the roots are there of freedom, personal responsibility, not tribalism. That's what's made the third world, tribalism. And that's why they still don't progress. Here we are in the 21st century, and the third world is still the third world. And it's not America's fault. It's not your fault. It's not my fault. It is their culture. And now what they want to do is bring their culture, because again, diversity. Remember that. That's what the liberals want, diversity. My friends, I am really, really concerned. Yes, I am truly concerned about what is going to happen as soon as this election is over. Like I said, Mexico has been holding back millions, probably, at least hundreds of thousands, but probably millions of illegal aliens. And once the election is over, Mexico's going to want to get rid of them immediately, and they are going to let them cross the border. They're going to encourage them to come across the border. They're going to ferry them across the border. And of course, the cartels are going to make tons of money, and Mexico's going to get rid of all of their illegal aliens. All of these illegal aliens are going to reach America, and here we are. Here we are, overwhelmed by poor people from the third world who don't understand the Constitution, don't understand freedom of speech, don't understand freedom of religion, not to mention they have no vocations. I'm really worried about that. So, my friends, thank you once again for joining us. I want to thank the Federation for American Immigration Reform, FAIR, for being our sponsor. Please go to fairus.org, fairus.org, and donate. A donation to FAIR is a donation to El Conservador. So, my friends, it'll be a very interesting week, and we will have some great discussion come next Saturday. So, until then, my friends, be strong, and God bless America.
The Federation for American Immigration Reform, known as FAIR, fights to restore common-sense border controls and immigration policies that work for America and its future. America's immigration system and border controls have been decimated by Washington politicians and special interests, undermining the interests and security of the American people. FAIR mobilizes grassroots activists to make sure the voices of the American people are heard in Washington. Find out more about FAIR and what we do by going to fairus.org.